Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're all very welcome to the tower here at Kilkenny Castle to discuss the development of the brewery site. It's a unique opportunity for us as elected members, but also for the public of Kilkenny City. I'm not going to delay because we have many presentations this evening, so I suppose I'll go straight into introducing the first speaker, which is Martin Colreavy, Department of Arts, Heritage and the Gaeltacht, Government Policy and Architecture. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, Mayor Cathaoirleach, Chairman, elected members and members of Kilkenny City Council. I'm delighted that the manager has been able to host this evening, and just to say a few words by way of background to this effectively a pilot approach to an urban design strategy in Kilkenny City. The Department of Arts, Heritage and the Gaeltacht, under the Government Policy and Architecture implementation programme this year, we're delighted to co-sponsor Kilkenny City Council in the development of a pilot design review colloquium on effectively the future planning of this important historic piece of Kilkenny City, the former Diageo Smithic site. One of the key aims of this policy on architecture is to encourage innovative approaches to sustainable urban design, which incorporates and reuses our existing historic places. Promoting qualitative standards in our built environment impacts hugely on how we live, work and learn, and the skills that we use to design and construct our surroundings are fundamentally important to the quality of our life. And indeed, on that note, I really do want to emphasise the huge wealth of information that was generated through this process, and indeed the manager taking on this initiative as a pilot, and the elected members of Kilkenny City Borough, because certainly this is a new innovative process. It is growing wide, it's growing widely across Europe and the UK, and it's indeed our first piloted approach here. And indeed also the RAI as a design enabler or the facilitator of the entire process. Just by way of information, the Government Policy and Architecture provides the appropriate framework for architecture policy up to 2015 and is led centrally by the Department of Arts, Heritage and the Gaeltacht. The policy places an emphasis on sustainable development of the environment and urban design while incorporating architectural heritage in a holistic, integrated manner, while encouraging and supporting high-quality modern architecture. The policy complements and supports the government's wider economic strategy within the programme for government in areas such as built environment research and qualitative placemaking. And I suppose just to add, and of course this pilot was sponsored under Action 21 of the Government Policy and Architecture. That's our current policy. We have 45 actions to implement by 2015. We're halfway through. And this is one of the sort of initiatives that we've assisted in terms of getting off the ground. I suppose finally, and just to sort of mention in a sort of a more global sense, why we do these things in this way and why we should always look at, I suppose it's somebody described to me an analogy of a master woodcutter where the more experienced woodcutter will sharpen his blade for 3 hours and cut a tree down in a half an hour, as opposed to quite often getting stuck into felling a tree by sharpening a blade for 15 minutes but spending 9 hours cutting the tree down. So preparation in anything is key, and having the right approach early on. And I think that's fundamental in looking at how we make decisions about our built environment, because to no end what we build today is tomorrow's legacy or tomorrow's heritage, and that are parts of cities that are developed for 50 to 100 years. So it's about taking the time out to make the right decisions in a collaborative, co-joined way, and making sure that we look at all options, and all options at the very start of a process are valid. There's no such thing as a silly idea at the very beginning of a process. And just to end, I think it's interesting, somebody mentioned when you get a bunch of architects together to ask questions, somebody says, why does an architect answer one question with another question? And I suppose the answer to that was, why shouldn't they? So effectively, that's what it's about. It's about asking lots of questions before we start. Thank you.